the expansion of city improvement districts throughout the rest of the metro, bringing much needed security and social support services to areas that need it the most. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hingham.
Thank you, Speaker, and good afternoon, colleagues. Speaker, the Lower Gardens precinct of Cape Town is a critical transitional zone, bridging the high-density CBD and surrounding suburban neighbourhoods like Vredehuk, Oranjezicht and Upper Gardens. With a mix of residential and commercial properties, it is a diverse and high-traffic area on the edge of the CBD that has immense potential, but also faces significant challenges. These include high rates of crime, theft from vehicles, robbery, illegal dumping, vagrancy, and widespread public safety concerns. These are not just statistics, they are daily realities for the residents, businesses, and visitors in the area. While the city is doing everything we can to address these challenges, additional support is required to address the crime and grime in the area, and this is where the Lower Gardens SID will play an important role. The proposed SID includes 1,404 properties across 369 urban in the Lower Gardens area. At its core, the CID represents a powerful public-private partnership. Property owners are stepping up to supplement city services, enhancing safety, improving urban cleanliness, and revitalizing the area's infrastructure. This is active citizenship at its base. The city's role is to enable, support, and align these efforts, ensuring accountability and integration with our broader service delivery mandate. What makes the CID proposal commendable, Speaker, is that it has been driven from the ground up. The dedicated Lower Gardens CID Steering Committee has led a careful and community-focused process that included comprehensive urban management surveys, extensive public participation, and thorough consultation with city departments. Speaker, the results speak volumes. 85.4% of survey respondents support the initiative. 61% of property owners have submitted written consent exceeding the legislative threshold. In conclusion, I want to extend my sincere thanks to the Steering Committee for their commitment and passion in driving this initiative. By supporting this item, Speaker, we're investing in the long-term sustainability, inclusivity, and livability for all in the Lower Gardens precinct. And so I support the recommendation. I thank you.
Thank you. The recommendation is on page 1. All in favour of the recommendation? Anyone against? The EFF's against? Anybody else? Thank you. Got any concerns up there? Nothing? We're all okay. So the EFF is against. We move on to item 27.
Speaker, we are not against.
Not against.
We are not against.
Oh, you're just waving at me. Thank you. All right. And good has no concern. So all in all, that which is unanimous. We move on then to item 27 and the recommendations on page 359. And Councillor McQueen is the first speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as the ANC, we support this item, Madam Speaker, but we would like to raise a few concerns. In fact, Madam Speaker, transport is an essential component of our economy. The different modes of transport are important organs of the comprehensive integrated transport plan, which is the heartbeat of our economy. For this heartbeat to be effective, there needs to be proper infrastructure. The led city of Cape Town is currently obsessed and preoccupied with the devolution of powers by PRASA. This lays bare the hypocrisy of the DA and the city of Cape Town, as it is aware that they were declared inept and inefficient by their own DA MEC of Human Settlement when they wanted devolution of powers insofar as housing is concerned. They must first prove their capacity there, therefore, and then we can be able to consider the devolution. The city must, instead of being obsessed with the devolution of powers, be obsessed with the integrated rapid transit system and the universal design access plan, as those are crucial for our people and a backbone for our economy. The city has failed on delivering on this, blaming insufficient grant from national government, whereas this directorate is the second worst on budget spending in the city of Cape Town. These projects have clearly cares for the haves and cares less for the poor and marginalized. As that is clear from the type of bus stops done by the city for its constituency. When you look at bus stops in Bloembergstrand and the inner city, they are totally different from bus stops of Khayelitsha. There is a clear disconnection. Can you please protect-
Councillors, please allow the councillor to continue.
There is a clear disconnection of different modes of transport, transport projects, not connecting with the PTIs, and the bicycle lanes are not safe for people as they can be knocked by vehicles. And there's no clear plan and commitment by the City of Cape Town to address this matter. Even though this directorate continues to return money to the national government year in, year out, we still have outstanding decongestion projects like the Bella Road in Highbury Park that started and was abruptly
Conclude.
stopped and has been quiet ever since. The project in Epping and Spine Road in Khayelitsha.
Thank you, councillor.
No, but Madam Speaker.
Yeah, but you must get to the point. Come, okay, I'll give you another second. Yeah, but you must stay strong and persevere. Are you supporting it or not supporting it?
I'm supporting, but
Thank you, councillor. Quintus?
Councillor, through you, Madam Speaker, Councillor Mkina, thank you for the support. Madam Speaker, the Comprehensive Integrated Transport Plan is the foundation on which we plan, implement and manage our transport network. It gives the Urban Mobility Directorate its mandate, ensuring that every road, bus, bicycle lane and transport innovation is aligned with our vision, that all people should have efficient access to a range of opportunities in a manner that is sustainable and provides dignity. Updating the CITP allows us to incorporate new information, respond to changing needs, and refine our strategies based on stakeholder feedback. The 2024 update reflects the latest thinking in transport planning, including the impact of induced demand on road capacity and the strengthened tools for enabling land use densification in well-located areas. We are on the brink of upgrading our MyCity fares payment technology and investigating the pros and cons of the different options available. Regardless of which technology is adopted, paying for the MyCity bus fares will soon be as simple as tapping a debit card or scanning your smartphone. The urban mobility space is dynamic by nature and directly affects every resident. In September 2024, we launched an extensive public participation process, issuing a call for comments on the draft CIT. We listened to the voices of commuters, business owners, and community leaders. Their feedback has helped us refine our approach. Public participation is a core pillar of good governance. When we engage residents and share, we ensure our plans reflect real needs and lived experiences. Much of the feedback received was affirming in that it echoed the needs we have prioritized for major capital investment, namely expanded public transport services and ultimately the safer pedestrian routes and transport hubs. And we are looking at an integrated transport landscape in which we can seamlessly segue between buses, trains, minibus taxis, and non-motorized transport corridors. Since August 2022, we have made significant strides in implementing the priority projects identified in the CITP, delivering major construction and programs that tangibly improve experience on the ground. These include road expansions, tackling congestions, as with the dualling of sections of Broadway Boulevard, Yip de Jager Drive, and Bottleray Road. By December 23, we had successfully rehabilitated and upgraded more than 5 kilometers of concrete roads in Fontaine. Although sadly, other similar projects in various areas have been delayed by the construction month. We have made great strides towards realization of the MyCity Phase 2A expansion, which, for Councillor Mkina's benefit, and he should know as he is on my PC, includes cycling and walking infrastructure. We have also continued with the ongoing construction of the Spine Road Depot, the Sky Circle, and the Dana Fontaine Bridge. Public transport interchanges have been upgraded in Mkaza, Dunoon, and Somerset West. We have installed more than 1,000 uninterruptible power supply units at major intersections to mitigate load shedding impacts and expand our footprint of public transport digitization to 30 interchanges. These are just some of the projects that represent a tangible progress towards an integrated transport network that serves the people of Cape Town. Looking to the future, Madam Speaker, the Directorate is refining its objectives through a theory of change approach, ensuring that every decision aligns with long-term outcomes. This includes the development of a comprehensive monitoring and evaluation framework, allowing us to measure progress.
Thank
By
you.
supporting this update, we reinforce our commitment
Thank
to
you.
keep Cape Town moving. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The recommendations on page 359, in favor, all those in favor of the recommendation? Are we all in favor of the recommendation?
EFF is abstaining.
EFF is abstaining. All right. Anybody else want to abstain? Anyone against?
It
Thank
was left
you.
after all, so
Then the recommendation is carried. Councillors, we'll do the next item and then we'll adjourn for a half an hour for you to have some refreshments waiting until they're ready. Can we move on to item 28? And the first speaker there is Councillor Burke.
Good afternoon, Speaker, and thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues and guests. The ACDP would like to respond to the service level agreement in respect of personal primary health care during the Western Cape Government Health and Wellness in the City of Cape Town. As the ACDP, we want to express our thanks for this much needed SLA. We know the funding will enable the City of Cape Town to render the much needed personal primary health care to the residents of Cape Town. The ACDP is aware of the fact that the Constitution lists health services a functional area of national and provincial legislative competence in Part A of Schedule 4 of the Constitution, and take cognizance of the fact that the municipal health service, which is listed in Part B of Schedule 4 of the Constitution, is a matter in respect of which municipalities have executive authority and which should be administered by them in accordance with Section 156(1)(a) of the Constitution. The ACDP would like to state, based on research, that the extent of the HIV/AIDS epidemic and the need for increased access to ART has had a profound effect on the already stressed healthcare systems in South Africa. An economic analysis of HIV intervention in South Africa is often used as a case point due to the availability of good program data and the global relevance of its epidemic. Few analyses, however, use locally relevant cost data. We have to review available cost data as part of a City of Cape Town HIV investment case, a modeling exercise to inform the optimal use of financial resources for the city's HIV program. The ACDP therefore want to state on record that looking at the amount allocated, there raises concerns with regards to the effectiveness of the initiative per patient service. We want to be proactive in our approach, in particular with regards to withdrawal of US funds to support HIV positive patients. The amount of 326,230,000 could possibly be increased, therefore putting us in a position to be proactive and not reactive with regards to primary health care for HIV/AIDS patients. The ACDP therefore calls for increased monetary support. We know that the city is challenged in terms of budget constraints, but want to suggest reduced expenditure towards less essential services. The ACDP suggests the inclusion of the stats and the magnitude of the challenge with regards to HIV/AIDS in the city to get perspective on whether the 326,230,000 will be a worthwhile allocation for the per patient cost of HIV service to alleviate the challenge, or whether it's just a drop in the ocean to help our precious people who are faced with the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Solomons.
Good afternoon, everyone. Madam ANC Speaker, the guiding principles and values set out in this agreement sounds beautiful. We have patient-centered care, we have respect, we have integrity, accountability, being caring, responsiveness, to name but a few. One of the objectives states improved health outcomes. However, when the primary user of these facilities, who is the poorer communities, visit these health facilities, none of these principles and values are present. People get treated with the utmost disrespect. people being refused essential health care, babies dying in their mother's wombs due to negligence, security guards deciding whether patients gets assisted or not. I myself was just recently denied oxygen at our local clinic when I fell ill. Colored staff members being victimized and marginalized in this day and age. This agreement is a whole lie on paper. How many times must we say this? Our people deserve better, over and over again. You are allowing our people to be treated like crap, irrespective of whether your budget is
Councillor,
increased
please,
or
we don't
decreased.
use language like that in the chamber.
Sure.
Please, this is
Not
not
there.
your TikTok. This is the council chamber.
Madam ANC Speaker, the
Apologise,
NCC
please.
will support these type
you-
of our people
Will
get
you
equal
apologise?
citizens treatments in
Thank
this
you.
country
That's
as it should be. Thank you.
Councillor Savant.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Mayor delivered a budget of hope this morning. And yes, indeed, there is still hope for our people. The DA represents that hope, not only for the people of Cape Town or the Western Cape, but also for the South Africans, all South Africans. So item 28 proves this, Speaker. But before I move this item, I want to, however, first want to congratulate and salute my comrade Majingo for his bold move, leaving the ANC.
Usimane ANC lo wamnganayo ke wena Savant.
His long lost his mission has become irrelevant in the lives of our people. So I myself also left the ANC
Like you in West
in
Bend.
2009 and eventually find my political home in the DA
Usimane ANC lo wamnganayo.
14. And I thank God.
And bring back our checkbook.
First, councillors, if you don't want to hear what the councillor is saying, you're welcome to take a walk, but he's entitled to say what he wants to say. Councillor, conclude.
Speaker. So the smaller parties must read the items, please, before they speak. I want to also ask my fellow councillor, Councillor Cotting, who said earlier on that the people behind them have principles. I want to ask you, where are those principles when you people have stolen the money of our people in this country? Where are your principles when you have a party that
Councillors.
is bleeding and you continue supporting that party? You must follow your leader, Majingo.
Councillors.
And we will welcome you.
Councillor,
Speaker, on the item
finish his speech.
On the item itself, I want to say that this is another example how the DA leads, and we lead together our city and the province together, and we will continue to do so. This item also indicates that we are ready to invite where there are weaknesses, to admit where there are weaknesses, and are willing to strengthen delivery of services for our people. I move the council's recommendations.
Thank
on
you.
page 645. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations on page 645. All in favour of the recommendations? Councillor, are we all in favour of the recommendations? Thank you. Councillor from the EFF?
Against.
Thank you. Councillor David?
Support with strong concerns.
You supporting the recommendation. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. You've also got concerns. You might want to chat, but that's fine. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to the last item in this volume. We're going to move on to the last item in this volume, and Councillor Mamkele, you, the first speaker. Unless you want to move on.
You can't Majingo me like that. Enkosi Somlomo ngekho semthethweni. Namhlanje we discussed a proposal to sell city-owned land in Manenberg to the Leadership College at 10% of its market value. While this discount is commendable, I urge this council to go further, transfer the land at no cost as an act of redress for apartheid's legacy of land theft and forced removal. Manenberg itself was born from apartheid's racist spatial planning, a community where families were violently dispossessed of their land and dignity. The Leadership College now stands as a beacon in that community, offering affordable education to the community of Manenberg. This is not just a school. It is a lifeline, undoing decades of systemic exclusion. By charging even 10%, we risk reducing justice to a transaction. The city has a moral duty to prioritize redress over revenue. The 1913 Land Act and apartheid policies stole land from black, colored, and Indian communities, not for profit, but to destroy their futures. Returning land to institutions like this college is not charity. I recognize the legal framework guiding municipal assets disposal, but laws can be challenged. Precedents rewritten. If we cannot freely transfer this land, let us partner with the provincial or national government to fund it as a shared redress project. Let us calculate the social value of this school's impact, 60 distinctions, 200 futures nurtured, and let that value outweigh rent per square meter. To the council, this vote is not just about land. It is about whether we as leaders will honor the past by investing in the future. The college learners are ratepayers' children. Their success is our city's success. I implore you, Somlomo Ongekho Semthethweni, transfer this land freely. Let Manenberg community see that justice delayed is not justice denied. Let this council be remembered, not for compliance, but for courage. Please, Somlomo Ongekho Semthethweni, do not majingo this land, give it for free.
Thank you. Councillor Kassim.
Thank you, Speaker. The Leadership College, better known as TLC, as we heard, it's a registered NPC, NPO, PBO, and it serves and operates in Manenberg area. We will find about 80% of the learners or leaders, as the students are called, they survive on some sort of grant or social benefit. We will see that the average private school in South Africa starts at approximately 5,000 or 6,000 and can quadruple that amount. The same or even better education, quality education, is afforded to these children in the Manenberg and surroundings. Just a short testimonial of about 3 or 4 of the learners. You have a graduate, investment analyst graduate from the school, another learner with a BA degree, linguistics and psychology, another one studied education, currently teaching at the institution as well. And I'll quote the following from one of the graduates. He says, TLC helped me achieve academic and sport excellence. I represent Western Province Rugby in various national tournaments. With the help of TLC and the broader TLC family, I carried the banner of the school proudly. Close quote from one of the students. As we conclude, Speaker, our city of hope for all, prosperous, inclusive, caring, and the DA-run city of Cape Town, we will see that people can see a better future for themselves, their children and their community members, that the community can become a reality. I will also direct everyone to the Annexure C, Speaker, and view the city's culture of good governance, implementation of sound management practice, promoting equity, participation, and transparency. From our executive mayor, he made a recommendation that the property be disposed of at 10% of its market value. And I move that that council support the recommendation. It's set out on page 680 and 692 as well.
Thank you very much. All in favour of the recommendation? Anyone against the recommendation?
We're not supporting the auction.
You're not supporting it?
Not the auction. We're not supporting this because of.
Okay, you're against the recommendation. Councillor Dambuza? Against, thank you. Councillor David?
Abstain.
You abstaining. Okay, anybody else? Thank you. Then the recommendation is carried. Councillor T is ready, so we're going to adjourn till 2:15. But you can have lunch if you go downstairs to the forecourt. But you've got until 2:15. I don't care what you do in that time, so long as it's honest.
Fire Savan, keep a jingle.
Councillors, if we can take our seats. Councillors, it's 15:15. We're going to start, but what we need to do is to re-register just to ensure that we are correct. When I can get the bell to stop ringing. All right, we're ready. Okay, councillors, if I can ask you to please. Okay, obviously I can't talk if I take my card out. So if you can please just re-register. It appears to me that we are correct, so we'll begin. The first item we're going to deal with now is item 36. And that is, am I right? Item 36, volume 3. And the first speaker is, oh, wow, Councillor Picard is not here. Next speaker, Councillor Siselo. Have you registered? Because I can't hear you.
Oh, thanks, Speaker. I will just move the item then.
Thank you. All in favor of the item? The item is carried. No one against. Okay. We move on then to the following item, which is item 46 by my clock. And the first speaker there is Councillor Jacobson.
Honourable Speaker, the BF Plus supports this without reservation.
Councillors, please.
We will always support the use of city-owned land for sport and sporting clubs. Our good Minister of Sport, Mr. Mackenzie, highlights how sport and clubs keeps our youth out of harm's way and criminality. So we support this item.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed.
I'm not finished yet, sorry, with respect. But how ironic. 7 minutes from this proposed site exists an old, very established club to 1,500 members, the home for SA disabled sportsmen and women. This particular sport has a development program where kids from underprivileged, previously disadvantaged backgrounds are taught the game. And these kids are now members of the club. And some of the kids are now professional sport people. 50,000 games are played there each year, and many tourists. This is, in fact, a tourist hub. I'm talking about the Mowbray Golf Course. This club is an institution. The South African Open has been played there, and people like Gary Player and Ernie Els and Bobby Locke have all won there. This site has now been identified, as you know, for mixed-use development, not for only affordable housing or social housing. In fact, only a tiny portion will be used for affordable housing. It makes no sense, Honourable Speaker. Again, I support this item wholeheartedly, but am extremely concerned about the future of other established clubs and sport fraternities that may be targeted as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I've always wondered what the plus in Freedom Front stood for. Because it's such a respected organization, I'm starting to believe that it stands for Freedom Front Plus, Paul Jacob. So, sort of like when you're about to head out, with your friends and your mother says, take your brother with. This is a very straightforward item, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Freedom Front for their support. It should have been agreed, but I suspect the awkward brother wanted an opportunity to speak. I truly believe I speak on behalf of everyone in the chamber when I say that this councillor makes everything awkward with his comments. I don't believe the discussion now had anything to do with the leasing of the sports field at UCT. It was just an opportunity for Councillor Jacobson to speak. Just remember that this councillor recently said poor Bishop's Court with reference to people who were forcibly removed. So for him to talk now about social housing and affordable housing, it boggles my mind. But I think I figured it out. This councillor has been accused of online bullying and harassment many times. and quick and easy to be a big, strong man behind a keyboard uttering the most horrific, racist things, completely sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, and downright dangerous. Let I remind this chamber that when Councillor Jacobson, in his efforts to seek relevance, lied about the Llandudno Life-Saving Club, he then walked out of the chamber when he was rebutted by Councillor Badruddin. Not so big, not so strong. Madam Speaker, this item is straightforward. It benefits the city, the surrounding community, and UCT. This should have been agreed. One last mention, Speaker. In 2021 local government elections, Councillor Jacobson lost the ward to a girl. And that's okay. It's been 3 years. Time to let it go. You're making it awkward for your siblings. Councillor Chow, you're amazing. I love you to bits.
Councillor Yusuf.
Keep at it.
Okay. I just want to point out that he lost the ward to the better councillor. Don't say just a girl, okay? So we have a recommendation on page 858. All in favour of the recommendation? Anyone against the recommendation? Thank you very much. The recommendation is carried. We move then on to item 50. And the first speaker on that item is Councillor Tetani. Is the councillor present? Councillor?
He's not present there, but support the item.
Support the item. Thank you. Councillor Mess, would you move the item?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the item for approval.
Thank you very much. Anyone against the recommendation? No, the recommendation is carried. Thank you. We move on to item 51. And the first speaker on that item is Councillor Nimmerhout.
Good day, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Tweak, are you going to recuse yourself for this item? Thank you. Carry on.
Good day once again, Madam Speaker, Mr. Mayor, and ex-team colleagues. The case in which Alderman Grantwijk was implicated was investigated and concluded, and that no wrongdoings was found as per report. Even during the disciplinary proceedings, it also came to light that the councillor did nothing wrong according to this report, although the then ED refused to be questioned and interviewed by the investigators at the time, which was appointed by the Speaker of Council. Speaker, please note that there was no search warrant issued to date to search the office of Alderman Tweak, and no seizure of any sort, unlike in the most recent scandal that hit this council, and especially the Democratic Alliance, such as the raid of the offices of Alderman J.P. Smith and Alderman Zanthia Lindbergh, and we believe that the DA want to use other members of council to support their infighting. We as a Patriotic Alliance will rather support the ongoing investigation into the alleged fraud and corruption case against Alderman J.P. Smith and Alderman Zanthia Lindbergh, aka Bonnie and Clyde, supported by Bubblegum, who were implicated and gave the Hawks enough evidence to get a search warrant and raid their offices and the seizure of their equipment. So we as the Patriotic Alliance are not interested in your Blue Devil Caucus infights, but we want to call on the DA to let Alderman J.P. Smith and Alderman Zanthia Lindbergh, they can prove their innocence. So for the blauw duiveltjies wil ek net sê, vlieg saggies.
Thank you, Councillor David. And I just want to point out, we're talking to, I will come to a point of order in a minute at the end of the debate. But I want to point out that we're talking to the report that's on white, and we're not talking to the documents which were supplementary, which are on green. So please conduct your discussions only to the white document. That other was for your information. Okay, Councillor Davids.
Thank you, Speaker. The good party hereby submits that we do not support this item. We do not support the findings of the report, neither do we support the recommendations of the item. We challenge the findings of the report on the following basis. Firstly, there are two reports which previously served before this council which directly implicate the Mako member, which cannot be ignored. The latest report itself indicates that there was some sort of political interference. This alone establishes a prima facie case and reasonable suspicion. We further wish to place on record that we were contacted by a whistleblower this week after the report was finalized, and we are in possession of evidence from the whistleblower which shows that the alderman was the driver and mastermind behind Project Sienzela. The evidence in our possession also indicates that the MMC of Finance and the city manager had knowledge of this. In our evidence, phrases such as "we are blocked by the CM" and "our hands are tied," along with code names like "banana," are used. The evidence paints a picture that certain persons and ex-employees are being protected in exchange for their testimony against the former ED. The above is an indication that the investigating officer's report does not include key evidence and that not all relevant persons were interviewed by the investigating officer. It must also be stated that testimony of the former ED is crucial in determining the MACO member's role in this, and without it one can simply not come to an accurate conclusion. We do, however, agree that the matter must go to court and the money be recovered. Perhaps during the court proceedings, the ED will be more willing to testify. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kobulon.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to the EFF caucus led by the party leader of WHIP. On behalf of all peace-loving revolutionaries across the globe, I rise before this council today to address serious allegation concerning the conduct of the MACO member, Alderman Pick, and the operational overreach that has. This matter strikes at the heart of governance integrity. The separation of political and administrative functions and the trust of our communities placed in this institution. No consistent with counterparts inside the GNU, which is built on a foundation of compromise, trading ethics, and accountability for ministerial positions. Minister Dean overstepped ethical boundaries by acting as a debt collector on behalf of a construction company. This is after former MM's housing caught with a corruption case gangster who was receiving constructions from the city led by the Democratic Alliance. The report before us revealed a troubling dynamic where the MACO member was compelled to intervene in operational matters due to the dumping of goods by the former executive mayor, Dr. Mdunyelwa. This was evident by report communication from the MACO member, manager regarding service deliveries, failure actions, date while tension lines, oversight, and administration. Operational overreact, lack of cooperation, contradictory of evidence. While some affidavits and interviews, including those of the current Mr. Bower, indicate active MACO involvement, operational matters, as noted that Dr. Disciplinary proceedings never impacted Parliament. This inquiry underscores the need of caution guiding the Speaker. While there are grounds to suspect, must also weigh the failing compliance of former executive and MACO member who stepped at service very crisis. The workshop with them contractors and signed memo, so problematic.
Conclude. Thank you. Councillor Coles.
What is this, Speaker?
Councillor Coles.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I think after that EFF speech there, that revolutionary train has got no wheels, has got no track, and is totally off course.
Councillor?
I have no idea what item she was speaking to, Madam Speaker, but
Tell him to speak to the item.
I'm
Give
busy,
us.
my brother. The item before us is a matter that has been long ongoing and that has caused a great deal of distress, unfair criticism, and unfounded allegations and reputational harm to Alderman Twig. We are all aware of the content of these allegations, and may I point out, we as the governing party in the best-run metro in the country had nothing to hide and never shielded our colleague from
You're
any
just trying
form
to
of
shield Grant Twig.
Councillor?
any form of discipline process as set out in the terms of the Code of Conduct and Section 173.4 of the MMFA. Madam Speaker, despite hearsay and false allegations, here are the facts. The memorandum of June 2023 that has been the subject of many debates and that has been mentioned by several individuals, the investigation concludes that Alderman Twig was acting in accordance with powers that are delegated to the MACO members by the Mayor in accordance with Section 60.1 of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act. The allegation that Alderman Twig had interfered with the daily running of the administration, Madam Speaker, is an absolute fishing expedition. The fact of the matter is actually quite the contrary. As a MACO member, he is allowed to lawfully interfere in administration to exercise oversight, insist on report back, and accountability over the directorate. At no point did Alderman Twig take over the role of the executive director. The actions of Alderman Twig highlights the DA's unwavering position of good governance and that prompted action to be taken in what Alderman Twig perceived as an unacceptable service delivery. May I remind Council, Madam Speaker, that our duly elected Mayor Dordanie Lewis committed to clean. The perceived actions are nothing less than a MACO member trying to resolve a service delivery issue, doing his job bottom line. My next point, Madam Speaker, is the unfounded allegation that there was breach of Section 173.4 of the MMFA. It states on page 17 of the report, and I would, encourage all the opposition parties to go and read it. It's a one-liner. It's quite simple. The investigation did not find any proof that Alderman Twig transgressed the provisions of the Act. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, given the findings of the investigations, it is without a doubt that these unfounded allegations leveled against Alderman Twig was baseless, unsubstantiated, and caused undue reputational harm to a MACO member that was acting well within his rights that are bestowed upon all executive members. And Madam Speaker, within the DA, we do not do ifs, buts, or maybes. We deal with facts, and the report points to the facts that was conducted by the investigator. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I move that the recommendations A and B as set out on the report 1165 be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Picardi.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. I see the sabotage to recruit me, but it's not going to work. Speaker, allow me to first define what reasonable suspicion is. Reasonable suspicions refers to the belief or inference that a person has committed or is about to commit a crime based on facts, circumstances, or observation that would lead a reasonable person to believe that the suspect involved in a criminal activity did interfere. The report before our Speaker argues correctly, as MPEC argued and as this council argued, that based on interviews with the listed staff, the attached affidavits, available evidence, there are sufficient grounds for the Speaker to form a reasonable suspicion that the actions of Alderman Twig did breach the code of conduct. There is a reasonable suspicion that Alderman Twig put his hands in the administration. We are trying to explain this thing very clearly because we can see that some of the people on the opposite side not understand the terms that are in the report. To interfere means to put your hands in the administration. While the report before us, Speaker, clears Alderman Twig of misconduct, we do still hold that the view on reasonable suspicion that Alderman Twig did put his hands in the administration and therefore interfered with the decision of the cancellation of contracts together with the erstwhile executive director. What remains rather perplexing on this issue is the silence of the erstwhile ED, that even at a point in time where his pension is at risk of being lost, he still chooses to refuse to testify against Alderman Twig. Whatever their agreement is together to protect Alderman Twig, it better be worth his pension, but unfortunately, it will never be worth his integrity as an ED. Speaker, for now, we welcome this report. However, we want to bring an amendment to the recommendations. Would like to move that the ANC moves for the amendment of the recommendations on C5103/2025. We move for the addition of recommendation C, that the matter be referred to the disciplinary committee of council. Based on the available evidence, we do believe that, like many others that are sitting there, like JP Smith, we know that he puts his hands in the administration as well. And even that SEPs come to his offices, to raid his offices, is reasonable enough suspicion that JP Smith is corrupt. JP Smith is implicated in the 1 billion tender scandal. We must not run away from that, Speaker. Thirdly, Speaker, remember that majority, some of them who have left, have been implicated in many corrupt scandals. Some of them, shame I won't mention, but they know themselves inside there, they are being eaten by their corruption inside. So, was saying, Speaker, please accept this recommendation. Twig must not rest. There is reasonable suspicion, Speaker. You must investigate further. The problem with reasonable suspicion, Speaker, as well is that with available evidence, we can be able to prosecute. Hopefully, the ED will come to the party and give us information that suggests or that proves actually our suspicions that Alderman Twig, not JP Smith this time around, shame. Your matter is with SAPS, so I don't want to deal with it. It's sub judice. We do believe that Alderman Twig must be taken to the disciplinary committee of council so that this matter can be put to rest finally. So we move, Speaker. Here's the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is actually just amendment to the motion. We'll deal with the amendment after we've dealt with this. Councillor Kempthorne.
Speaker, if I was the opposition, I would not speak to this item after embarrassing themselves after this was sent for impact to council.
Who is this one, Speaker? You must announce
As
when
the
someone is
DA
going to speak.
administration said at the time,
We
have
don't know who's
nothing to
speaking.
hide, as Alderman Twig is innocent of the slurs against them. Firstly, the PA should be ashamed of themselves, as their leader, dictator, has
And you
supported
are?
a
We
woman
don't-
who has allegedly sold her own child into slavery or worse. As for good, I just feel sorry for them. They should rather spend their time polishing their
Councillors.
TVs.
What?
As the people
Who's
of Cape
speaking,
Town have serious concerns about them. And they're
Councillors, it's Councillor Kempthorne. If you were all quiet, you would have heard me call his name.
Speak.
Look at your speakers list
He is moving the speaker.
in the front.
Can you repeat?
Don't show your inattention by now asking, where is he? You've had all day to find the councillors. Councillor Kempthorne, carry on.
As
Madam
for the
Speaker.
economic fashion fighters, another party in terminal decline, whose leader is nothing but a badly dressed
Point of order,
Idi
Madam
Amin-
Speaker.
Idi Amin wannabe, or to be kind, a Teletubby
Madam
in
Speaker, I have a
drag.
point of order.
Point of
You
orders
would
are
be
not
better
taken during a
spending your
debate.
time on learning how to tie-dye
Point
your
of order.
red overalls into khaki,
Point of order.
as your only chance of returning to council will be as members of the Zuma corruption cult. As for the ANC, a party
Speaker must
that
speak to the
has a
item.
great
Point of
heart,
order.
but forcing
Point
the
of
Zuma
order.
catastrophe on the
Councillor
innocent
Kempthorne, Alderman Kempthorne, just hold that thought for a minute. Points of orders are taken after the debate. Please wait your turn. I've taken your note.
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
You must be fair.
Thank you. Councillor, carry on.
As for the ANC, a party that had a great past,
Point of order,
but
Speaker.
forced the Zuma catastrophe on the innocent, hard-working South African public.
This guy must
He
keep
turned
quiet.
the once glorious movement into nothing more than a corrupt, incompetent mafia organization. Your hypocrisy is mind-blowing. Most of your senior
Like the
leaders
DA.
have stolen this country blind, and now you expect the poor of this country to continue funding your leaders' thievery
Point
through
of
a
order.
VAT hike. As for
There's
the
no point
contents
of order
the
at the
report,
moment.
my
Thank you.
friend
I
and
can
colleague,
refer you to
Councillor Kyle
point
Carl,
1.2 in your
I
own
want
rules.
to, thank you.
And I will
Own
now
rules.
There's no
reiterate.
point of order at this point.
There is of
Thank
order.
you.
Order.
Alderman
Point
Twigg
of order.
did nothing wrong. There is no breach of the code of conduct. The report exonerates him.
Point of
But
order,
I am
Speaker.
furious that the opposition has tried to convict him with half-truths and
The
innuendo.
Speaker on the ground
when
is-
all he
There
did
is
was
no
care-
point of order. The councillor is speaking. He will continue with his speech.
Point of order.
Speak even with
Speak
racial
for dialogue.
slurs of Zulu. The speaker is not speaking to catastrophe.
Alderman,
Racial slur.
continue.
Point
Alderman
of
Kempthorne.
order.
Alderman
Finish.
Kempthorne, continue.
Alderman Twigg did nothing wrong. There is no breach of the code of conduct. The report exonerates him. But I'm furious that the opposition has tried to convict him with half-truths and innuendos when all he did was care about the poorest citizens of this great city, wanting
Who are
to
you?
improve the living conditions of the people who have been abandoned by the
Point
ANC,
of-
EFF and PA. Just look at any place in South Africa where they govern. Speaker, I know Alderman Twigg,
Point of-
and he will not be derailed from his commitment to continue to improve the services to all the great residents of the city. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Could you also please put me down for a point of order, Madam Speaker, once the debate is concluded?
Well, I think that that Alderman Kempthorne has now certainly got the point. So now we're going to point
But what was he trying to
of
say
order.
all along?
Mayor, don't be out
I
of
have
order. please.
Councillor Steenberg first, and then Mr. Mayor, you will be able to. But you actually have to. You have an opportunity to speak to this item. Would you like to speak to the item?
I would like to speak to that.
Then do that first. Thank
Okay,
you,
thank you very much, Speaker.
Are you going to defend, Mayor?
Councillor.
Okay, Madam Speaker, just a appallingly politicized debate over something that's actually quite straightforward. The fact is that the city was not satisfied and, by the way, remains unsatisfied with the level of service in cleansing and waste management in informal settlements and less formal areas. At the time, there was an opportunity to insource many of those services. All of those services, or the vast majority of those services, are outsourced by private contractors who, if I may say so, I believe do not perform up to the standard that the city requires or should require of them. And at the time, because those contracts were being renewed via a new tender process, there was an opportunity to insource some of them. That is what this report looks into, the cancellation of those contracts. In fact, they weren't really cancelled because those tenders were expiring, contracts were expiring and were being renewed, and the insourcing of some of those services via the so-called project Sia Zanzela. And I have said many times from that podium that the preparation for that insourcing was wholly inadequate and unacceptable. And what ended up happening was, from a position of trying to improve the services, we ended up with a period of several months between July and roughly November or December even, where services deteriorated significantly in those areas. And so the contractors had to be brought back. That does not mean that the principle was wrong. It means that the preparation was wrong. The principle that the city might be able to do a much better job ourselves is still under investigation, and we are now rolling it out in a proper change management process with proper pilot projects and so on. But that brings us to the question of the role of Alderman Twigg. When a mayoral committee member, as any one of these mayoral committee members sitting around this table, when they notice an obvious deterioration in service or inadequate performance from any of the contractors which apply in any of their directorates, they absolutely have a responsibility to act, to do something about it. You don't just stand by and put your hands up and watch a train crash. You have to do something about it. So that is exactly what Alderman Twigg did. He tried to do something about it. that has been investigated. The report is self-explanatory. It explicitly finds absolutely no evidence of any contravention of the MFMA, and finds very scant evidence, very disputable evidence of interference in the administration. Things like the fact that Alderman Twigg called meetings and issued instructions in those meetings. Well, I think that you'll find around the table that there's, pretty much all of us do that all the time. That's part of the job. So if that is a high crime and misdemeanor, then I'm not sure that where that leaves us. So I really don't think that the investigation brings forward any substantive evidence of any wrongdoing at all, and is more than enough to accept the recommendation as per the report under your name, which recommends that the matter be disposed of. Thank you.
Thank you. Your point of order, Councillor? Thank you. We can move on then. We have a recommendation.
I also had a report.
You will carry on, sir.
Speaker, I wanted to say it's unbelievably discourteous what the councillor was doing, constantly shouting point of order at you once you had made it clear to him that point of order are not taken during the debate. And I'm not sure why you allowed him to get away with that, but it was he was doing.
Don't worry, only allows DM.
He made it impossible, and it persists. He made it impossible to hear Alderman Kempthorne's speech, and completely ignored the ruling that you had given 5 or 6 or 7 times from the chair that point of order are not taken during the debate. So I would ask you to rule on that, and to hold him out of order, please.
He certainly was out of order. The point is there comes a time when you reach a understanding that what you're saying is not sinking in. But I do want to, you didn't want to speak to the point of order when I gave you the opportunity. We've a vote. So the recommendation from the legal department is that this amendment is actually contrary to the substantive motion, and therefore you can vote against the substantive motion if you wish to, but it's not a legal amendment. So we have a recommendation in front of us on pages 1165 to 1166. Those in favor of the recommendation? Okay. Those against the recommendation? No one.
Good abstaining, Speaker.
Good abstains. Okay. Councillor?
The UDM abstains.
Abstains. Thank you. Councillor Dambuza?
Reject.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Haynes? Against. Okay. Anyone else that I'm missing out on? Councillor Jacobs?
Abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Steenberg?
PA again.
Against. All right. Thank you very much. Councillor David?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, you got it. All right. Thank you very much. We move
Speaker.
on.
Speaker.
Councillor Cupido?
I just wanted to take this opportunity, or may I request that I quickly address you on the route of order of council. I want to take your attention to Rule 31(1)(6), which is a member contemplated in Rule 31(1)(4) shall be entitled to be heard forthwith, and the member speaking at the time shall remain silent and be seated until the ruling has been made by the speaker.
Okay.
Meaning that whenever somebody is speaking and another member of this council calls a point of order, that member must remain quiet, and you need to listen to that and then rule on it, and then the person may continue, and not after the fact. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you for that lesson. I do want to point out, though, that if we all behaved and the one person that was speaking indicated he had a point of order or a point of clarity, it would be easier to manage. Otherwise, we're not going to take the points of order. We are not a circus. Okay, so we're moving on then to item 52. Councillor Haynes?
Speaker, I think your last comment is saying that we're not circus. I think it's unfair. Councillor Kibru is correct in the rules that he's quoting. So really, you are really treating us very wrong.
Okay,
Can you
I
please
accept
withdraw?
that. What Councillor Cupido is saying is correct, but the behavior
Speaker.
from the council
But
is
it
the
doesn't link the two.
interjection.
It doesn't link the
continued-
two.
Excuse
It doesn't link the two. It doesn't.
Well,
it doesn't warrant
It
you
does
insulting
link it
him
from here.
or insulting us.
I'm not insulting you because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to whoever the cap fits. But I want to say now we are moving on. Councillor Masaki?
Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker.
Speaker, the changes are set out in the report. There's no other changes to be read in, so I ask Council's support for the changes. Thank you.
Any objections to the changes? Thank you. The recommendations are carried. Thank you. We move on to Councillor Haskin.
Speaker, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and colleagues. I asks councillors to approve the memorialization of Darwin in the form of erected in the time. So I'm speaking to record the ACT vote against the proposal. Most people would have a basic understanding about why Christians would have a problem with Charles Darwin, but not necessarily have any detail on it. And so I'm going to take a few minutes that I've got to speak about it. Too many people see the creation evolution debate question as a simple binary. Either you're creation supporter and therefore you're against evolution, or the opposite. But the truth, in fact, sits quite neatly in between those two binaries. Creationists and evolutionists actually agree on many modern scientific foundational truths and laws, even while disagreeing on Darwin's origin of species theory proposed that species can change over time. New species can arise from pre-existing species, that all species share a common ancestor. To understand the points of agreement and disagreement between creationism and evolution, we should start with understanding that essentially they are supporters of science, that Darwin's theory straddles both of these. This is where it's confusing for Christians and atheists, those who for both of them. Operational science studies, what we can observe in the laboratory or in the field, it involves measurements taken and observations made in the present that are repeatable and reportable. Darwin's theory on natural selection is part of operational science. Origins science refers to the scientific study of the origins of and evolution of complex systems, ranging from the universe's creation to the emergence of life, by taking current observations and attempting to extrapolate them back in time. Darwin's theory that non-living matter once organized itself to living material is a belief in origin. There are a number of disagreements and areas of similarity between, and I've already said that, but both creation scientists and evolution scientists see that adaptation, interbreeding, genetic changes within the DNA, and all kinds can and do occur over generations. They agree that changes have been seen among animals, for example, in terms of height, color, limb length, beak shape, etc. In fact, Darwin's so-called Galapagos finches are a great example of natural in evidence right now for us all to see. However, notwithstanding these areas of agreement, there remain constant areas of disagreement. One mainly being that there can only be change within a kind and not between. In other words, cats will never fly. And that should be patently obvious to us all. Where there's been a lot of agreement within operational science studies between creation scientists and evolution scientists, as outlined above, the main difference exists within origin science, where Darwin proposes.
Councillors, he's got time. He's in his time. Carry on.
Yeah. Where Darwin proposes inter alia that the theory of universal common ancestry, that all living organisms share a common ancestor with species branching out over time to evolution. That is where the ACTP and where Christians differ from Darwin. Because we see that life has never come from non-life. There is no evidence anywhere where Aristotle spoke in 300 BC about life coming from non-life. That's been proven to be wrong. The law of thermodynamics says that nothing ever improves if left alone, it only decays. So both those two laws defeat Darwin's arguments about life coming from nothing. And so it's with that that we want to conclude by asking Speaker, I'm going to ask the Mayor to consider referring this back for further public participation so that Christians and Muslims around the Western Cape and the Cape Town can comment on this, because it directly affects our belief. We believe in creation as opposed to the binaries of evolution.
Thank you. This is Councillor Satarin.
Good day all. Madam Speaker, I must say, I sit here in absolute disgust today for even noting this public participation or even considering that this item be approved. When we speak about Simonstown, this is a beautiful place with a unique history and a strong cultural heritage. Yet we are discussing the memorialization of a colonizer in a town where not only the land was initially stolen by the Aboriginal people, but also by locals in the Group Areas Act, where these residents were dumped in a community like Ocean View and other places in the Cape Flats. Madam Speaker, till today, one cannot help but get emotional when hearing the stories from families like the Mr. Sadiq Jaffa, who owned the first rights, or Mr. Hassan Jaffa, who was known as a big community figure at the time, who always helped his community, who was away in Mecca on pilgrimage and upon arrival, only to realize his home is no longer home. Or Mr. Mati, who had the fish market in Wharf Street on this very jetty that we are discussing here today, which was an economical hub for locals at the time. One would believe that these type of monuments should be flooding the streets of Simonstown, not the racist colonizer who spent merely 19 days in Simonstown, regardless of who he is. Through you, Madam Speaker, I would like to ask your DA councillors, are you guys really okay with this? Because once again, these families have been excluded from this text box exercise you call public participation. The same way they were excluded out of the Dido Valley Housing Project. Mr. Racist, oh sorry, I meant Mr. Mayor. It does not surprise us that the head city of Cape Town would be okay with this.
Thank you, your time is up.
That after 5 years,
Councillors, speak the point of order.
that after 5 years,
Point of order, Speaker.
maintenance of the very monument.
Speaker, point of order. I don't care that she called the mayor racist, but she's the biggest racist.
Of order.
Point of order.
Please.
Madam Speaker, please protect me.
Your time is up.
No.
Point of order, Speaker. Councillor Marie. And then, Mr. Mayor, you can conclude. After Councillor Marie.
Madam Speaker, my time is not up. Your DA councillor stole.
Your time is up.
Point of order, Speaker.
Cancel those two mics at the back there, please. Thank you. Councillor Marie.
Speaker, you need to be fair, Speaker.
Madam Speaker, members of
Madam
Council
Speaker,
and guests.
Councillor Satarin.
That you
Councillor Satarin. Cancel that mic.
Today we have
Councillor
item
Marie.
54 before us to take a decision on erecting a bronze bust in honor of Charles Darwin. So who was Charles Darwin? I also had to go and look it up, and I saw my colleague did extensive research on it. Yeah, a renowned English geologist and biologist, widely known for his contribution to evolutionary biology. Was born in February 1809 and it passed away in April 1882, many moons ago. He is declared as one of the greatest British scientists to ever live, but in his radical theories brought him in conflict with the members of the Church of England. On the 26th of September 2024, the naming committee recommended that a process to memorialize and erect a monumental bust at the jetty in Simonstown subjected to public participation. Motivation for the mounting of this bust of his 19-day visit to Cape of Good Hope during May-June 1836, and it was on a part of a 5-year voyage of Emmett H. Beagle. The process was conducted from the 16th of November till the 15th of December 2024 via various platforms, public newspapers, at the sub-council office, at the library, circulated at the sub-council database, and many more. 820 comments were received. 117 objected towards the proposal. That was the top 117. The Geological Society of the South African committed to process the structure through fundraising at the cost of 135,000 rand. Mr. Michael Burton, in collaboration with the sculptor Johan Stein, will take responsibility for the maintenance for the next 5 years from 2025 to 2030, whereafter the city will take responsibility for maintenance. And other than a small display on Darwin's visit in the 1800s, it's at the Ezekiel SA Museum, which is very few people see it, and the plaque, and very few people take note of it. Then there's the other one at Seaport site in Bantry Bay that mentioned his name. There's nothing in the Greater Cape Town to commemorate very significant visit. In contrast with Australia, where a city, a university, and a national park named after him. So, in this time, our Cape Town Monumental, I request the council to support the commemoration of Darwin's visit in appropriate place in Simonstown.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you want to speak?
Yes, ma'am. There was a request to me from the ACDP. Let me say, Councillor, that I appreciate the speech that you've made, and I appreciate that this is a difficult and often divisive issue for Christians. And I count myself as one, obviously. But I just want to go to the point with which you started your speech, and that is that there is no binary choice between and creation. Just in the same way that before the 1600s, the whole world thought that the world, Earth, was the center of the universe, and that's what the church taught. And along came a gentleman called Copernicus and said, in fact, the sun is at the center of the solar system. And that was called heresy for a long time. He was hounded out and excommunicated and so on. But in fact, that helped elevate and further our understanding of how the universe worked tremendously. And of course, he was absolutely right that the sun is at the center of our solar system and not the Earth. And so we have the kind of metaphorical story of creation as relayed to us in Genesis, which is entirely compatible with the scientific evidence, which shows that life has evolved over time. Now, for that, I really do think that the visit to Cape Town is worthy of memorialization on that incredible journey on the Beagle, which took 5 years around the world, and really a journey which has changed human understanding of the way that the world works and how it is that life has changed it forever. Just as Copernicus changed it in the 17th century or the 16th century, so that voyage changed our understanding and elevated our understanding of how life works forever. And that is very, very worthy of memorialization. Now, even if you say that you don't agree with all aspects of his theory, that's entirely valid, and I'm sure that parts of it may well be wrong. We don't know. But certainly, as you said in the beginning of your speech, it is not a binary choice. And in fact, his work has brought even in Christian theology, the understanding of creation away from the simple idea of creation having taken place in 7 days to a much more scientific scientifically complex and nuanced understanding of it. And I think that that's entirely compatible with one another. It is not incompatible to believe that God had a role to play in creation, and that that part of that role was to kickstart the evolutionary process. So it's not incompatible. Secondly, I want to say, even if we completely ignore the work that Darwin did on evolution, there's another very good reason to commemorate his trip to Cape Town, because it's in Cape Town that he developed his theory. As Councillor Maria said, he was not only a biologist, he was also a geologist, a true polymath, an incredibly brilliant human being. It is in Cape Town that he started to figure out that all of the land masses of the world were at once connected, at one point in our history connected, because he realized that the rocks that he found at Sea Point were exactly the same rocks that he found on the Galapagos Islands and indeed in South America. And he theorized at that point, nothing more than a hypothesis, that those two land masses were at one point connected to one another. Of course, we now know that that is entirely true. So a remarkable discovery, even from a geological perspective, and Cape Town played an important role in that discovery, and certainly very worthy of commemoration. So I hear the councillor's request to defer the item back. I'm afraid I don't agree with that. I think that it's for, whether from a nuanced understanding and appreciation for evolutionary theory, or indeed just for his geological discoveries, well worth remembering the visit of the Beagle and Mr. Darwin to Cape Town in the 1900s. And the item should proceed. And I would say to Councillor Saturin that if she wishes to be taken seriously as a person and as a councillor, she is going to just have to fundamentally raise her game. That was a disgraceful and embarrassing speech. And it's really sad to have her kind of room temperature IQ imposed on all of us. So let's please just dismiss it.
Thank you. We have a recommendation on page 1 to 2. All in favor of the recommendation? Thank you. Those against? EFF's against. The others against. Sorry, ma'am. ACDP's against.
Abstain.
And the NCC's against. Okay,
Good
thank
abstain,
you.
Speaker.
And the PA. All right.
Speaker, good abstain.
Just hang on a second. You're against? PAC. PA. Okay. Thank you. Mr. PAC, are you also against? Thank you.
Cape Exit.
Thank you, Cape Exit. And
Abstain.
you have
Speaker.
concerns. You abstaining. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to move on to the next item, item 55. And the first speaker there is, well, Councillor Dambuza, you lost your turn to speak. Are you suitably contrite? Would you like to speak? You may speak.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. I won't be long. And I understand you needed to just get yourself excited, but it's fine. The EFF is in thorough support of this item. The people of Gugulethu and their history deserve better things in life. Even the area itself was based on Groups Area Act, which placed our people unwillingly in the area of Gugulethu. And massive bad things happened to them. And I must say that within this item, I need to compliment the likes of Dr. Plake, who have gone out of their way with the team that he has worked with, to make sure that this monument comes to place, and with all the leaders of civil society that have worked hand in hand with them, including political parties that have been there to make sure that this takes place. The deputy mayor was one of the people who have come and make sure that he sees that the work has been done. Councillor Ordo, including councillors that are from that sub-council and others. It is of great work. I'm even surprised that Councillor Kavash is speaking to the item, because he was not the one who was even involved in it. I thought that Councillor Ordo would be the one that is being involved in it. But anyway, he follows his name at time. In his So, as the EFF, we're in support of this item. We are 100% behind it. And we believe that the people of Kukulet need greater things in their life. And we are saying in passing, there are other matters and issues that needs to be done in that area. We want the housing project to be completed. We want the swimming pool project to be completed. We want even other matters and issues that are taking place within that area to be concluded. Because the people of Kukuletu took into themselves to name that place Ikukuletu, in as much as it was not a place of good nature and nature that they were placed in. So thank you very much. The EFF fully supports this item and says that the people of this area must get to that what they must get.
Thank
We
you.
hope that the same amount of support that is given to this item should be the same in removing the speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Majuza. Councillor, yes.
I hope you are saving my time, Speaker, and I apologize. I just wanted to bounce something which was discussed on item. Speaker, just to respect on the decorum of the House. I'm appealing to the mayor that particularly MECO members, when an item is centered around yourself, for your own accountability and showing respect, and you are not being here. Referring to Alderman, that is a total sign of guilty conscience. So we must respect.
Can you just speak to this
Yes,
item?
yes. When I'm coming, I'm saying we must respect. I cannot be present, absent.
Councillor Dambuza, you've now completely taken away all my faith in your ability
But
to.
it's relevant to the decorum of this house. It's relevant. You cannot be absent, but the item is about
Councillor
yourself.
Dambuza, Councillor Dambuza.
You should be here.
All right.
No, I'm coming to the item. Listen and
Councillor, I'm going to move
Listen
this
and learn. I'm coming to
recommendation
the
if you
item.
don't get to the
Speaker,
item.
as we are coming to the close of the Speaker, can you keep my time? I've got 4 minutes.
No, you haven't got any more.
No, don't bully me. Speaker, as we're coming to the end of the human rights a month, and I would love to
Councillor
say
Manenberg.
to people that let those whom are much more aware and informed about a thing, let them do the talking. The time that this item brought to me at some point when I was invited to cut a ribbon on the launch of this precious monument, I declined because of the weight that it has, because of the prestige that it has. It was beyond of what councillorship. In fact, it was even beyond sub-council. Hence, it is here in this house. I want Speaker first let me appreciate the work done by one of our Township fundis, Dr. Plaki, former Deputy Minister of Agricultural Reforms, Mr. Mrs. Kwacha, former Provincial MEC, our Township memorialists such as Mr. Mlungisi Mazana, Mr. Jeff Mamputa, and the rest of the team much wanted memoir. Speaker, I've always said that when one looks and takes a step back and look at Langa, Nyanga, and others, see the epitome of apartheid in the Cape. And in many instances, when providing services in these communities, not mere services, but a much significant act. Do you recall, same as like people of Nova Park, Manenberg, and many other old townships of municipality. However, it is also there for Mayor One would like to get clarity on the marching referendum that will be passed in the good past and the administration in terms of maintaining pairs of historical and precious monument in terms of our role as council, the administration. Maybe some will be asking, how did one reach the phrase precious? It is the strong and sad memories of resistance that people have shown since the development of they have been displaced and chased away from places such as this Peak, Woodstock, Fishhook, Lemon, to Crawford, and many other places. Then later after that, it was completed during the group areas act of. And precisely, the monument was unveiled last year or launched last year as a celebration of the township 7th year of. Part of the event to be captured the permit gate that was constructed in 1950, which was monitoring the movement of in and out. The second event being the gathering of plus minus 700 men from both Yanga East to Crete, which was then known as West, joined Philip Osana's pass in March
Conclude.
1960 from Langa.
Thank you,
Is there for
Councillor
Speaker?
Nkavash.
Yeah.
Thank you, Speaker. So, listening to, in welcoming this item, I would like to thank support by the Executive Mayor, Lewis, and also the Deputy Mayor, including Councillor Nombolo, Councillor Ntodo, community organizations that have supported this item. This is a historic item that is important for the community of Cook. Councillor Mbuza and Tambuza went a bit out of order in this item, but I understand the excitement there. But we also thank, I saw your letters, I captured in the annexures of this report, Speaker. They were in support in 2023, but I understand the hype of they went off key a bit. The item before Council is of such important significance in that it will serve as a symbol of hope in the Kuguleti community, bring about rich history, promote social cohesion, and boost tourism. So given the annexures that are here, Speaker, I'm not going to waste time, and the support by the sub-council, by all the organizations there, by the party, I support.
Thank you. We have a recommendation on page 40 to 41. Are we all in favor of the recommendation? Thank you. Anyone against? Thank you. The recommendation's carried. We then move on to the next item, item 56, and the first speaker there, 59. Okay. 59, sorry. Councillor Duka. Councillor Duka. Is there a Councillor Duka here? Yes. Okay, moving on.
Thank you very much, outgoing Speaker. The item before us, it clearly indicates that the substation, the electrical installation was not achieved. Even the tender was expired on the middle of the quarter. One of the reasons is that there was no immediate replacement to achieve the target. The next that was not commenced from the beginning of this year. Customers have their fear, share interruption due to the theft vandalism. On an average, almost set goal was not achieved if you check to page 98 to 99. EPWP opportunities, the target was 105, only we reached 53. Residential of Valhalla Park still waiting for the electricity to connect for almost a year. But we can do a self-introspection, do better over time. In focus, Speaker, if we can start by removing this administrator of Democratic Alliance so that we can be able to start to achieve our goal on time. If the administrator cannot achieve the target of the light in our township, then we should be concerned because we are really in a serious predicament. This small sign that we see are the signs of incompetence of the administrator of Democratic Alliance. We need to reclaim our political power back from this visionless Democratic Alliance administrator. We have been waiting and waiting the full promises, and I do not know what else we are waiting for. Instead of removing this selfish, superficial management from abuse of power, we are currently having a reactive administrator instead of proactive one. These are the signs of tired and exhausted administrator with no intent to advance to change. In conclusion, Speaker, I wonder they are really bothered on the consciousness about those who do not have an electricity and street lights while they are busy with many excuses without solution. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman Limburg.
Thank you, Speaker. I so wish that Councillor Duka actually raised the point in our February meeting when this item came, but the minutes actually reflected that he made no input. And then in the March meeting, in the March Portfolio Committee meeting...
Councillors? Councillors?
In the March Portfolio Committee, when he had a further opportunity to make comment, the minutes reflect that he absent without apology. So if we can delve,
Councillor Badini.
so if
Thank
we
you.
can delve into the items that were raised by the councillor, KPI 2G that speaks to the subsidized electricity connections, yes, we did not meet the target, but as what is reflected in the report in terms of the reason for variance, the report states that tender 82Q, which is a transversal tender that assists us with delivering this particular set of deliverables. that
Councillor
expired-
Gadini,
that
would you like to go outside? Councillor Haynes, please speak to your councillor.
Because that tender expired in September last year, and we did have a replacement tender, 206Q, but that was cancelled due to the JK Structures court rulings. And so if the councillor was paying attention in the portfolio, he would know that. As a contingency measure, we then utilized other smaller contracts, 177, to allow us to continue with smaller electrification projects, many of them which have been completed. We did get a deviation approved, and this will help us ensure that we can continue with our work with regards to subsidized electricity connections. But I just want to take a moment, Speaker, to reflect on the profound impact this particular annual project has on the lives of residents. Just on Tuesday, Alvin van der Rede and I visited families in Hanover Park who recently were formally connected to the electricity grid and who received their own electricity prepaid meter. And a few weeks prior to that, I also visited a number of families in Yanga, all of who have indicated that this particular intervention by the city has made their lives so much easier. And beyond that, Speaker, the 63 units that these families now receive also provide them with such great. So this is how the city of Cape Town shows really care. In terms of vandalism and theft, yes, this is still negatively affecting our operations, and this is evident in the customer average interruption duration index indicator, as well as the burning rate of public lighting. But the Directorate is making steady progress, currently at 85% against the target of 90%, with a baseline of 77%, due to increased contractual resources as well as internal targeted efforts. We are steadily ensuring that we meet the target in this regard. Other than getting our high mast light maintenance contract up online again and utilizing aluminium bundling instead of copper, as well as doing undergrounding of cabling, the Directorate are also further exploring alternative infrastructure to a formal RFP process recently closed, and I'm confident that the Directorate will overcome the challenge driven by opportunistic criminal elements and syndicates, and that we will improve on this front. In terms of the EPWP project, if the councillor also read the report, he would have seen that the projects have been registered, and so we will also meet our target in the upcoming. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendations on page 89. Those in favour of the recommendation for noting. Okay, thank you. It's noted. We move on. The next item is item 72. Councillor De Beer.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, in the absence of the Mayor, the entry of the Mayor, and honourable colleagues, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome in the gallery a very young intern, Mr. Reese Lucas, joining us. He asked me, is this the way council goes every day? I said, it's like Christmas, your mother-in-law does come unexpectedly. Madam Speaker, may I quote a very incredible man who said in front of me one day that sometimes when a person hates another, even when that speaks the truth, the emotion cancels out listening to the truth of that another. This is what happened in this house today. I would like to thank every member in this house for all the wishes every day, and that makes me look forward to the next day to come here. I would like to share something that crosses party politics, and that is the sad death of a very good friend of mine, Kolani Doniso's son. Everybody in this house will share with the ANC today sorrow, and that's not politics today. Chair, we end another month with a disarray of death and murder in this city. I have said that my 2 minutes, I'd like to say that at the beginning of my term, which is on record, I said that safety security expenditure, by the time that I bid you goodbye, will be at 8 billion. The chair of Safety PC will recognize I said so. We are now 6 billion. This is not because the city wants to charge the ratepayers such money. It is a direct, and I can say so, a collapse of SAPS, an absolute disregard of the policing system, and the total disarray. Even my old colleagues of 28 years in the 8 years of my term as a true MK veteran registered will tell you that when you don't know what the hell you're doing, then get out and baleka. So we have a problem because not even crime intelligence is working anymore. And if it was, then our colleagues in the ANC would have known that one of their members were about to defect before they knew it. I knew it long time ago because you can see an askari. You can see in Pimpi. So I don't know. Maybe I must come back and then re-avert my knowledge of intelligence. And I'm not talking about bloody IQ.
You said you were going to Parliament.
My uncle. No, I decided to come more you here again. Yeah. And I have the support of my 9 members. So, Chair, this is not an attack on an individual because I don't have time left in my clock. So, the scourge of death in this city has no color. Ja, Wulan Panzi ongo. Tobamoy.
Councillor De Beer.
I have decided to not take you. I'm talking about the death of children.
Speaker, so does
Councillor, let Councillor De Beer finish. And
Speaker, you must withdraw.
what is your point of order?
Speaker,
There's a rule number.
I mean,
There's
Speaker?
no rule number. Where's the rule number? Thank you, Councillor De
No,
Beer.
Speaker,
Continue.
the councillor has used foul language in the house. He must withdraw.
Councillor De Beer.
So the word Panzi,
No, I think it was the other one with an M.
which one?
What you were going to do to them.
No, I didn't.
No, you said moon.
No.
Can you repeat what you said?
Councillor
Say
De
it.
Beer.
Hey,
Councillor De Beer.
I'm,
No,
I'm
the
not
councillor
protected.
withdraw.
Repeat what you... I'm not protected.
Councillor Bengi, keep quiet, please. Councillor De Beer, you may finish.
I'm trying.
Repeat your sentence.
I think they want you to withdraw the word what you were going to do with them. It begins with an M and ends with an R.
More.
That's the word.
No, I won't. No, I won't. It means coffee.
Yeah, more coffee.
There's coffee.
Okay. Then continue.
There's coffee.
Coffee too.
There's coffee. Leer jou Afrikaans. Ek is 'n Afrikaner. Moer beteken koffie. So as ek dit moet terugtrek, dan moer ek hier uit.
Councillor De Beer, can you brew it and get finished?
I'm trying, Chair. Maar die
Thank
mense
you.
verstaan nie die verskil tussen moer en koffie.
What's the point?
Nee, ek gaan nie terugtrek.
Councillor De Beer.
I'm trying to say,
No,
Chair.
Councillor De Beer, Councillor Haynes has got a point of order. I just want to know what rule number.
Madam Speaker, Councillor De Beer is the very
Do you have a rule number?
Councillor De Beer is forever the one that preaches us
All
about
right.
the forum of the meeting.
Thank you.
He is with him and yourself.
Thank you, but there's no point of order for that. Councillor De Beer, please conclude.
He is out of order and he must withdraw.
I will not withdraw.
Councillor De Beer, can you conclude your point?
Yes, Chair, I'm trying.
Chair.
What I'm actually saying is after the
Speaker.
Continue, sir. You have the floor.
Speaker, foul language is not.
Can you all, you don't have points of order. Let the man finish so we can get on with the agenda. Councillor De Beer, conclude please on your point. No, there's no point of order. What's the rule number? What's it? What is it? Because there's interjections. We traded time. Councillor De Beer, finish.
Speaker, you asked for the order. You asked for the member. Does not withdraw.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor De Beer, could you please conclude?
Speaker, on a point of order.
No, there's no point of order.
While you haven't withdrawn, what is this?
There is
Why
no
must this
point of
why must
order.
this subjected to this?
There is no point of order.
Withdraw what he said.
There
Speaker,
is
you
no
instructed
point of
him to
order.
withdraw.
We adjusted his time like we've done for your councillors. Councillor,
He must withdraw what he said.
No.
Councillor De Beer,
Violate.
Councillor De Beer, you've brewed something.
Now.
No, finish your. No, finish the point, please, so I can. You want to be thrown out?
Yes, Chair. By whom?
Can you just finish so we can? We're not throwing you out. Can you finish so we can move on this item?
Chair, for the safety of myself and this house, I withdraw more. But then I would like to ask, not part of my time, that there must be a ruling from the speaker afterwards. If that word is not correct, I would like to know that, but I withdraw.
Thank you.
Because the ANC has already suffered a major blow today. They can't handle another one.
Thank you.
Speaker.
Thank you. And I'll get
And
it.
I would like to conclude that that is the end of my speech.
Thank you.
Speaker, if you are going
Councillor
to say politics,
Bresler?
you are going to run this house.
Councillor Bresler?
Speaker, if you are
Madam Speaker, based on the background of Councillor De Beer's speech, I think I will just mention that we note the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Then we move on, and that concludes the open
I tell
agenda.
you of what you like and what you don't like. Stick to the rules of the house.
All right. Can we clear the gallery, please? Okay, can we just confirm that all the guests are out of the gallery? All right, councillors, can you take your seats and can you quieten down?